Travis Mayfield is filling in for G. Scott starting at 9 o'clock. But in the meantime, he's a little upset about the big ad that popped up on a state ferry last week. What's your gripe?
I'm upset that we're not doing this on more boats.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so if you haven't heard the story, there is one of the Washington State ferries that has a big red billboard basically painted on the front of it. So you're standing on the passenger decks and you're looking back up at the captain, and it's the entire front of the boat basically, and it is red. And it is, I think it's a recycling ad that Coca-Cola paid for. It's not the whole ferry, but it's still pretty big. And apparently a lot of people over on Reddit are like, it's ugly. I don't like it. Okay, so are you paying the taxes to fix the rest of the boats then? Because nobody seems to want to do that.
So you think it should be even bigger?
Oh, yeah. Wrap every single one of the boats. But I give naming rights. I mean, if you're going to continue to cancel sailings to Orcas on a daily basis, if people can't get to Bainbridge Island because the boat only carries 3 cars, which is what it feels like we are today, sponsor the uniforms of the ferry employees. If you can sell it, Washington State, sell it.
So if you're not outraged, maybe David Burbank is. Are you outraged?
I am incredibly outraged. As someone who grew up on the peninsula and took ferries basically every weekend, it is an atrocity to see this red pasted across the front of the ferry. I'm fine if the entire inside is red and Coca-Cola and whatever company you want, but there's something about the outside of the ferry that is so iconic to me. It's to me it feels like you're putting an ad right on the front of the Space Needle or Mount Rainier or something.
It clashes with the green and white theme. If it was a green ad, would that be better?
It would certainly blend in a little more and be less noticeable. To me, I saw it on Reddit on Friday. I saw it in my initial impression was, this must be Photoshop. They would never taint the front of the ferries. My beloved ferries.
Oh, was this one aground at the time they took this photo? Tainted ferries, please.
I understand all the arguments that you bring about, Travis. I'm holding on to that image, that classic ferry image, and to think that it would be spoiled by capitalism and advertisements.
If I'm on the ferry, though, I'm looking out. I want to see the orca. I want to see the beauty. I want to see the skyline. I do not care
what about when you're waiting for the ferry and you're out on the passenger deck and you're seeing the ferry coming in?
I want it to arrive. I want the schedule to be full, and I don't care how that gets paid for. Sponsor away.
Okay, so how far does this go? So you want even more ads on the ferries. Would you be okay with, like, ferry workers wearing corporate insignias from sponsors? Make it like a NASCAR?
Yeah.
How far would you go?
Absolutely. If they can get a sponsorship for that, go for it. I mean, Zulily on the Sounders or any of the other, why not? Like, why not make it a thing? We've already lived with this. I don't think it's a terrible thing. Honestly, that we have the real nut of this issue is finding a more stable source of revenue so that we can fix what are our highway system to folks who live out on the peninsula. I grew up in South Kitsap. I know what you're talking about, David. Like, that is a lifeline, or the people who live in the islands. Like, we cannot treat these things like they're just, a luxury. This is a highway, and we have failed in funding it.
How about this? There's no more unexploited captive audience than the people sitting on the ferry dock. Suppose you put up a big video screen and beamed ads at them for a fee while they're waiting for the ferry.
Sure.
You'd go for that, too.
Yeah, David's even into that one.
Anything but painting on the outside of the ferry. That's the hill that I will die on, is the ferry itself. I need that image to just look the same. I don't want the red. If it is a green, I'm trying to think of a green company. If it were some sort of greenish company, I would be a little more okay with it. It's the Coca-Cola red. It just feels so wrong to me.
Sully's on my team. I can see it.
Yeah, definitely. And when we talked to the ferry system about this last week, they said the last time someone did a full wrap or something like that was 60 years ago at the World's Fair. And most people can't afford what it would be to put it on there. But here's our spokesperson, Ian Sterling.
A lot of times you'll see those ads on the inside of ferries for different products and that type of things. And in this case, it just happens to be on the outside.
Yeah, whatever extra money they can get to fund these things, keep them going, keep them out of dry dock. I mean, the ferry shortage is at crisis level for the people who live up on the islands specifically. But for the people who use them to commute, we need them. and I'm okay with it, even if it is ugly. I don't care.
Oh, it's ugly.
Give us the money.
Hands down ugly.
Wow. Would you guys draw a line everywhere? Suppose somebody came up with an idea to stencil corporate logos on passing orcas. Would that be going too
Hey,
far?
Exactly. That's what I'm talking. This is the comparison that I want to
Well,
make.
you know what? Only if the Orcas would get their name, image, and likeness.
Oh, yeah, there you
Just
go.
like the football
There you
college
go.
players.
Yeah.
As long as they're getting a piece of the action. Why
Well,
not?
I mean, unlimited salmon. I mean, I would.
I'm sure they'd probably be down with that. Yeah, especially the southern residents that don't like to eat anything but salmon.
Yeah.
Well,
Just get Dave the salmon and nobody gets hurt. How about that?